next 3-4 years, and then into college and into your adult life. So interestingly, chess, right? My dad was a very strong chess player, or a reasonably strong chess player. He used to play with me. He taught me the moves. I picked it up. I got to a strong enough level where my dad was in the merchant navy. I would sail with him. I could beat most of the sailors, right, as a young kid, as a 8-9-year-old, but I could never beat him, right? And he knew all the patterns, he knew the opening lines and everything. And so he'd always thrash me. We played hundreds of games, right? And finally, I discovered the internet, right? This was in my African class 9, 10, somewhere around where you guys are. And so just imagine, right? The internet was just coming out for people, and it was like this cool thing. And I found this chess club called Internet Chess Club. And I started studying the game more professionally, right? Actually studying it, studying the lines and openings and moves. And my dad came back from a trip right after about 6 months. And I played him, and I was so excited because I'd really practiced, and I finally won. You know, so after years of losing, I finally won. So that gave me the chaska, right? The hunger. You know, what is that? There's a couple Dave quote, right? When the what is it when the tongue tastes success? What is it? You can when the tongue tastes success, the tongue wants more, right? So it's kind of like that, right? So my point being is I had a very strong incentive. I wanted to beat my dad, right? It was a very clear goal, and that gave me the motivation. Compared to, say, computer programming, right? I've done a lot of programming in my career. When I was young, my dad tried to get me into it. So QBasic and all, we even had a little bit of computer science in Basmali. But there was no incentive. So in some ways, computer science and chess are very similar, right? But there was no incentive, there was no competition, there was no goal to beat, there was no person to beat. And so I didn't appreciate computer science, and I didn't get into it until much, much later. So sometimes having somebody to compete, a family member, friend, you know, can be really rewarding and motivating. You can work the opposite way also. Let's say you have a sibling, right? Let's say you're really good at something. You can motivate each other, or you can scare each other off. So it can work both ways. Chess, again, is all about pattern recognition. It's all about identifying patterns and, you know, executing on them. Very mathematical. So chess, math, music, right? Classical music. These are fields which produce wunderkinds, right? Kids who are really young, at a really young, early age, right? They show tremendous abilities and talent. And we can talk more about that later. But the repeated thing is pattern recognition, right? And this applies everywhere. We see in basketball, we see in cricket, right? It's all about patterns, repeating, identifying those patterns, and then being able to respond to them and execute them. So this was in class. I was in class 9 actually at the time. How many of you know Vishwanathan Anand? Okay, excellent. So most of you know him. So he was the world chess champion, I'm pretty sure at this time, or maybe he may have just won it or just lost or something like that, right? So he was the #1 chess player in the world, right? Chess was at that time, or a little before, so dominated by the Soviets. So Anand was like this bright star of Indian chess, who, like, you know, with Garry Kasparov and all these other big players, he kind of was there on the scene, and he did an amazing job. So Vasantali is amazing, right? Vasantali is so well connected. They were able to actually get Vishwanathan Anand and then have him play against a bunch of the players, you know. So I ended up lasting the longest, and for a long time at the end, it was just him and me playing. So it was kind of like a 1-on-1. And I resigned after 47 moves. Now a lot of people say, "Sure, why did you resign?" Blah blah blah. My name actually came in the papers and all. It was like publicized. It probably could have lost another 20 moves. 20 moves meaning 20 each side. So anyways, the main thing is to an untrained eye, right? The game would have looked really close. You'd be like, "Hey, there's really battle going on." However, very clearly, Anand got some small advantages at the beginning, right? And then over the course of the game, like that advantage becomes bigger, and then you eventually win, right? And then he would eventually win, for sure. So chess is really a game of inches, and what I mean by that is small differences, small advantages, right? Early on, over the course of a long time, become big advantages. I think there's a very important lesson there for you guys as well, right? You guys are at a very formative stage of your life with small tweaks, small things, small good habits, small mental patterns, right? Built and developed now, but extended over the course of your lifetime, right? Will have dramatic results, and will be the difference between, you know, huge, achieving everything you want, and you know, potentially massive failure. So games of inches are very important. Something may seem very small now, but if you develop the right habits, you know, brushing your teeth at night, whatever it is, right? It can have huge impacts down the line. Finally, chess is a very interesting example. You know, one of my, we were asking about college, one of my Princeton essays was, actually a couple of my Princeton essays were around chess. So I really used that angle very strongly, you know. I talked about some of my chess heroes, I talked about what I learned from the game and all. And chess is very unique in terms of it drawing on a lot of different mental faculties. You have to have, it draws on your memory, you have to remember opening lines, it draws on raw calculation ability, it draws on visualization, it draws on creativity, it draws on pattern recognition, it draws on, just you name it, right? It just, and it's again one of those things where it's like a left brain and right brain thing. You have to have those creative ideas and come up with those creative strategies, but at the same time, you have to rigorously calculate them through in order to be able to execute. Finally, chess is a very interesting example in personality, right? Your personality often comes through in chess, and there's very different styles of play, different strategies, and kind of in some ways like a video game. And there's also a larger theory about how if a person's personality is naturally very soft. Yes?